Hey there, welcome back. All right, so I am here with one of Gemba Academy's customers, Bryan Glenn. So Bryan, thank you so much for coming. And so what we're doing here, folks, is we're actually, Bryan was in town, and so we said, come on over to the studios here, and we're going to make a video here, obviously, but we're also going to kind of convert this into a podcast. So if you are listening to this through our podcast, you can actually come over to Gemba Academy's website and watch this as a video as well. You know, Bryan and I, Bryan especially is pretty handsome, so it's probably better to look at the video than the podcast. But anyhow, first of all, seriously, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me, Ron.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what organization you're with, the school, obviously. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your school.
Okay, I'm with a West Texas A&M University.
Yeah.
We are located in Canyon, Texas. We have been around for 103 years.
103?
103.
Wow.
We joined the A&M system back in 1995.
Yeah.
My real job is the Director of Purchasing and Inventory Services.
Okay.
I was tapped about 2 years ago to become Special Initiatives, roll out Lean Six Sigma into higher ed across the campus.
Wow, that's great. So how long have you guys been a customer of Gemba Academy?
A little about 18 months, almost 2 years.
Yeah, and I didn't know the story, but you were telling us before the video started that your assistant said, hey, you got to go check out this Gemba Academy. Is that right?
Actually, it was the president, assistant, and our CEO. We were trying to find the perfect training tools. And we couldn't, and she called me up one day, and she said, hey, go check out Gemba Academy, and I did, and I thought, man, this is perfect.
Well, thank you to the young lady.
Her name is Tracy Post.
Tracy, thank you.
And she will see this.
That's great. All right, well, so what we're going to do here is we're going to kind of treat this as kind of using our standard work for our podcast,
okay.
But obviously this is a video as well, but I think it's going to be kind of interesting. So what we'd like to do, Bryan, is just kind of start off with a quotation that inspires you. Either leadership, Lean, Six Sigma, doesn't matter. What inspires you? What quotation?
One of Deming's, change is not necessary, survival is not mandatory.
Yeah.
You guys use it, and I really like that one.
Yeah. Why do you think that's so powerful?
Because when you look at Lean Six Sigma, Lean or Six Sigma, anyway, it's about constant change.
Right.
And if you're not changing, you're dying.
Yeah.
You have to change and evolve.
Yeah. No, I love that. All right. So what we're going to do here, Bryan, is we're just going to talk a little bit about your program.
Okay.
At West Texas A&M, and just explore how it's not meant to be a commercial for Gemba Academy, but obviously Gemba Academy plays a role in it. But tell us a little bit about your program in general. What are you guys doing? How are you using Lean and Six Sigma in the higher education format?
Okay. I send an email out to the campus-wide at the start of each semester asking staff and faculty who would like to sign up. And so far I have had 18 Greenbelt candidates complete the course. We meet Wednesday afternoon for 2 hours and use the Gemba Academy training tools. And then we have several process improvement exercises we have developed, and also DOE exercise at the end. Once they complete Gemba Academy, they have to take a test and pass it. And then they have to come to me with a project.
Yeah.
And they have to complete the Greenbelt project using Six Sigma.
Okay.
And once they complete the project, then they are awarded a Greenbelt. We also are working on developing a Black Belt program.
Right.
And again, we're using your resources to do so.
Yeah, and exactly. And one thing that I want to kind of point out is something that we talk to a lot of our customers about is that, Gemba Academy, we do offer our own certification program where we'll mentor the person and so forth, but we're extremely excited when people are doing what you're doing, which is using our content and then using your own internal experts such as yourself and other, folks that are experienced in this kind of stuff and running your own certification program. And I think that's fantastic. And so I'd love to hear of more companies doing this. Sure, we would happy to have people go through our certification program, but we don't exist for certification, right?
Right.
We exist to train people and to help organizations grow.
And part of the process, once they are certified, the president CEO wants to sign off on that certificate because he has total buy-in to what we're doing, and you have to have that top-down trickle.
Yeah, that's powerful. So let's dig into it a little bit, though. So give us an example of, I don't know, one project that you can think of that was done and was successful.
Well, being in the university, we have a lot of student workers. We got to examining what was going on hiring the student workers. It was taking anywhere for up to 90 days to get a student worker onto payroll. Part of the reason the approval form would sit in somebody's email box or on somebody's desk. And once we started using your tools, we found out that the piece of paperwork actually traveled a half a mile across campus. So we used the process. We had the student employment people and the payroll people meet, and we came up with a process improvement. The form is now electronic, and it's down to 3 days, which was the target our customers, the students and the hiring managers wanted.
And what was it before again?
Up to 90 days.
90 to 3.
90 to 3.
Wow.
Also made us compliant with federal and state regulations of having the paperwork in place.
So that was a Greenbelt project?
Yes, sir.
Wow. So walk us through that project. Like, what kind of tools did they use? Like, kind of like mapping, spaghetti diagrams, sort of things like that?
We used process mapping, then we did, start off value stream, then we process mapped. They actually walked the paperwork through.
Yeah, became the thing, right?
They became the thing.
Yeah.
To see how long it took.
Fantastic.
And to the two departments just sitting down and talking, they understood that there were things that were not needed, not necessary. But the huge factor was no one knew what the student or the internal customer expected. And they were blown away how 3 days, 3 to 5 days was it. And minor soft savings was $100 per hire. Hard savings, those students can go to work right then.
Yeah.
And not just wait. Semester's over and they can't go to work.
Now, how do you guys handle the whole savings things? I understand that you look at kind of both hard savings and soft savings. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, since we're a service industry and most of our customers are students, we're looking at increasing customer satisfaction.
Yeah.
We want the students to have an enjoyable experience and recommend us to others to go there.
Yeah.
That we get what they need. Kind of difficult on the soft savings part because we're mainly dealing with customer satisfaction. There are minor savings. We're not saving millions of dollars and never will.
Right. But I don't think that's your objective,
That's
right?
not our objective.
Yeah.
It's to make the students want to come to West Texas A&M.
Yeah.
We want to understand what they need.
Yeah.
And the survey system.
Which, by the way, ultimately probably is worth millions in the long run.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But you can't measure that necessarily.
I would like to take
a
credit
project.
for our enrollment increase this past semester and say that it was because we streamlined some processes.
Right.
But I can't.
Right. But, over the course of the next 20 years, it's obvious that these things are going to be impacting that.
Yeah, we had a project that looked at residential housing, what students wanted to find a dorm room. Before, it was all a paper process, and it was very cumbersome. Through the process, we said, why don't we go to this software company, and they can see the rooms online, they can register online. It tells them what paperwork they're missing, and they're not waiting on correspondence going back and forth. So it's increased the process and made the student a lot happier.
Yeah. Well, give us one more example.
One more example was we print vouchers every year, and each voucher is a different color, so we understand what year it was paid in. There's a color code key there.
Vouchers, explain vouchers.
Voucher is a check, a form of a check.
Okay.
And so they would have to order all this colored paper. The business office would have to order all this colored paper, and they may or may not use it in that given fiscal year.
Okay.
And so they would be stuck with all this paper.
Right.
So we experimented with single printing of a voucher on one piece of paper, and it worked. It passed the state of Texas and met all the criteria, so they can print them as they need them now. That's about a $12,000 savings.
Nice. Okay, so lots of success, but not to put you on the spot here, but have there been any struggles or failures or?
There's been several failures.
Yeah.
We were trying to develop an e-procurement system, and we were about to roll it out. And then all of a sudden, the system office said, nope, we're going to do our own. So we had to stop that one.
Okay.
There's been others where we get started and we look at the scope and we say, man, we don't want to boil the ocean. We need to back off and look at something a little different. We had one transcripts from students coming into the college.
Yeah.
We had to actually break it off into several different sub-processes to get it fixed. But it worked in the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
The gentleman was running that project. He was actually trained in the Navy on their Lean Six Sigma, so he had a very good understanding of it.
Great. So, last question for this section, Bryan, is just, Gemba Academy, we get a lot of phone calls from a lot of different types of companies, and honestly, there's a lot of higher education folks kind of reaching out to us, asking about how these things called Lean and Six Sigma can be applicable to their world. I mean, what do you have to say to them? I mean, are you a true believer that Lean and Six Sigma should really be more involved in the higher education process?
Oh yes, definitely. Since introducing into higher ed 2 years ago, I have come across other institutions that are looking into creating a Lean Six Sigma program, are wanting to copy our model because they have seen the success. The trouble is most of the Lean Six Sigma concepts have been built around manufacturing and adapting them into the service environment. There are some changes and alterations you have to make, but I'm a true believer that it can work in the service industry, and we have made proof of it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. All right, so let's now transition, Bryan, into what we're calling the kind of the quick fire section of the podcast. But again, we're going to do this on video as well. So the first question is, in Lean, we talk a lot about respect for people. It's a key aspect of the whole Lean body of knowledge. Well, what does it mean to you, respect for people?
When I conduct my Lean Six Sigma classes, that's one important point that I try to make to the trainees, is that people are not the problem, and there's something else, and you don't go identifying a single person and singling them out and saying it's your fault. You're the problem. You have to have respect for the people, and that's something we've learned, is we have to actually comfort people that when we introduce a project, that we're not going to take their job away from them. We're there to help them and improve the way they do their job. Yeah.
What's the best advice you've ever received, Bryan? Any advice?
Well, when I first started into the quality program, it was, and that's why it gets me back to the Deming quote, if you stop changing, stop growing, and stop learning, you're dying. And you see that around with companies all the time. They stick with, this is the way we do it. It works. It's not broken. Why fix it? And they ignore what's going on around them. So
we I don't know if you listened to the Matthew May podcast that we did, but when we did that, we were talking about the story of ice. Matt was talking about how ice 1.0 was, you had the lake around you, and you'd go, and that's how you got your ice. When it froze. Ice 2.0, the guys were hauling it around, and then ice 3.0 was their factories and so forth. The problem was the guy that did ice 1.0, he wasn't involved in 2.0 because he was so enthralled with his 1.0 process. So I think it's very similar to that. We've got to keep our eyes open, right? And moving forward, right?
Exactly.
Otherwise, or you will perish, right?
Exactly.
Dr. Deming said.
Yeah, exactly. And just seeing it with the students, it's amazing.
Yeah. So what about, do you have any personal productivity habits, Bryan, that you think others might benefit from?
I tend to Kaizen everything I do.
Okay.
Including kitchen cabinets.
Nice.
The pots and pans, desks. My desk is that way.
Yeah.
It's once you are part of Lean Six Sigma, you think in realm.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Yes, I know.
I mean, it's truly a different way of thinking, and that's something I tell the trainees: is you're going to start thinking a little different, and it's amazing once the light comes on.
Yeah, you can't stop it.
And you see them moving forward. You can tell the ones that get it.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember back when I worked in the industry, I visited a plant. It was in Springville, Utah. I think that was the name of it. And first, we were going to be running some events. We had a big kind of quick changeover initiative where there was a lot of problems with changeover in these equipments. And the first event we did, oh my goodness, we had about 10 people, arms crossed and sour look on their face. By the end, they were totally on board. What happened was the second and third time we came in there, we were walking through and people were giving us dirty looks. And we thought, oh, great, they hate us, because but what it was, they were mad that we weren't working in their area that week, And it was like, wow, what a change, And it didn't take long that they saw what was happening over here in these other areas and they wanted some, right? So eventually, they got it as well. But
that environment's kind of taken over at the university also. I'll get phone calls. Can you fix this? Can you get this done? And if people see things that they want to take care of, we had the boards outside the elevator telling who had what office, and they were the old felt and flat number type. Well, now we've gone to digital.
Okay.
And that was one of the phone calls I got is, can you find somebody to fix these, get these up to date?
Yeah.
Because some of these departments don't even exist anymore.
Yeah. Could you imagine that you would have had that 2 years ago?
Yeah.
People calling you asking for improvements?
No.
That's incredible, though. Imagine what it's going to be like in 5 years, if you guys keep going.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be incredible.
You can tell the culture has definitely taken root.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Bryan, if you could only recommend one book related to continuous improvement or leadership, what would it be and why?
There's a book called Lean Six Sigma in the Service Industry.
Okay.
The author,
I think it's Michael George. We'll look it up and put it in the show notes, I think.
Very, very good if you're looking at introducing Lean Six Sigma into the service. Not only does it cover higher ed, it covers hospitals and even the office environment.
Great. Okay. Great. Well, we'll link up to that one. So, all right. The last question. So, here's the situation. You've been hired as the general manager at a company, and this company, Bryan, is struggling. They've got, bad quality, bad productivity, morale is terrible. It's just a mess, okay? And you were hired because they heard of how incredible you did at West Texas A&M. No, West Texas A&M, he's not going to leave. This is just a story, okay? But this is a hypothetical story. You've been hired because of your past results, right? And as it turns out, the CEO has given you full operational and P&L control. You are running the ship, okay? What would you do your first week and why?
One of my other favorite books is Leadership Skills of Attila the Hun.
Okay. Wow, that's great.
Anyway, it talks in there about a team building.
Okay.
And that's, you can't go in and massively change things at once.
Yeah.
You've got people that are experienced, that know their job, that may not, there may be some underlying factors why they're not happy. But first, get to know what's going on, understand the situation, use some of the Six Sigma lean tools. Hopefully they have a program in place already. If not, use those tools to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
You're not going to quick fix it at once. That's going to be impossible. It's going to take time and it's going to take learning.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. First, you've got to get an understanding and implement something to initiate change to turn things around.
Yeah.
And it's going to stay the course.
Yeah. So the last question, just kind of off the standard work here, but what's next for West Texas A&M? What's on the Lean and Six Sigma front?
We have a candidate that wants to become a black belt, and so we are developing the black belt program. She came to me and asked what needed to be done, and I said, go use Jimba's checklist. It's perfect, and she's working on 10 projects, and she got the tools, the information back using your checklist.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'm wrapping up next week, the next class that will graduate, and then in fall we will offer it again, and hopefully I'll have 15 like I did the
Nice.
first time around.
So last thing is, go ahead and just wrap up with some final words of wisdom just for anyone that's maybe in the service industry, and then tell people how they could connect with you over social media, LinkedIn, Twitter. I don't know, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
What was the first thing?
Final words of wisdom.
Final words of wisdom. Final words of wisdom. Don't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
You guys have the package. It's easy. It's presentable. It's affordable. The students like it. Take it and adapt it to your own
Yeah.
format, your own style,
Yeah.
and it's real easy.
Yeah.
Very simple. In the second.
Are you on LinkedIn
Oh,
or anything
LinkedIn.
like that?
Yeah,
or-
I'm Bryan Glenn on LinkedIn.
Okay.
You can also go to wtamu.edu.
Say that again. W.
tamu.edu. And in our search, we have a Lean Six Sigma page that has all the information, all of our projects that we've worked on,
Nice.
and how we use the DMAIC model.
Great.
And then also, you can do a search of my name, Bryan Glenn, BryanGlenn,
Yeah.
and it will pull up my contact information there.
Great. Is it okay for other
Yeah,
folks to contact
people
you?
can contact me, want to know how we're doing it, and if they need ideas or help,
Yeah.
I'll be glad to.
Great.
Networking is also key in this
Yeah.
because other people have other ideas, and listening to how they have input is key.
Not to put you on the spot, but man, we would love to pack up these cameras and head on over to West Texas A&M and do a Gimbal Live one day, man. So let's
Come on.
let's talk to it, talk with the powers to be, and make that happen.
Our people would love to do it.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you
Thank
again
you, sir.
for coming in.
No problem.
Be well. All right.